Welcome to Subnautica, a terrifying story about crash landing on a planet that's completely underwater, plagued by disease and creatures that could easily eat us whole. And with no other survivors, it is up to us to make our way off this planet. But before getting started, these videos take quite some time to create, so if you happen to enjoy yourself, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, as it's greatly appreciated. And if you would like more, we also stream all of these videos over on Twitch. With that, let's get right into how I 100%ed Subnautica. It all started with us getting into our life pod as the space shuttle we were flying on started going down, and we took a bit of a rough landing onto the surface of a new world. After regaining consciousness, we scrambled up onto our feet to put out the fire that was inside of our pod. With our safety a little more secured, we could open up the emergency PDA, a system holding important stuff like our inventory and crafting recipes. And already we could grab our first achievement by opening up the hatch on the bottom and hopping into the water for the first time. Our life pod landed in the safe shallows, which is what gave us an actual chance at survival. And standing on top of the pod, it was clear that there was nothing but open waters for as far as the eye can see, with the only thing in sight being our ship that we crashed down on named the Aurora. To start getting a feel for the world, we swam around and grabbed some resources to better ourselves, but our lack of oxygen made it pretty hard to swim anywhere at all. One thing we did have access to were limestone chunks. Cracking them open, we had a chance to collect copper, which is very crucial to make anything that required electronics and energy, as it's the core component to crafting batteries. With that, we used the fabricator in our life pod to craft some more useful tools like an upgraded oxygen tank, the scanner, which allows us to scan fragments scattered along the ocean floor to learn more crafting recipes, grabbed a few of the local fish to create the air bladder, which is really useful early game, as when our oxygen is getting low we can use it to quickly propel ourselves upward to avoid drowning. And the last thing for now is the repair tool. As the name suggests, we can use it to repair the life support system inside of the life pod and also get the radio back together. But we better not hold our breath on being rescued, as it seems they'll be dispatched far after we wither away from old age. So we kept on with exploration and found our first of many shipwreck chunks. Around these places there are a lot more fragments to scan, as we learned both the sea moth and scanner room blueprints. Also, if you scan something that you've already learned, you'll be given some titanium, which is useful, as just like copper, it's used in everything. Back on the life pod, we got our first message from another one of the Aurora survivors. With their coordinates marked down on the map, we made our slow swim towards them. But the state of their life pod, it was clear they did not survive long. No one survived for long, as we were the lone survivor of the Aurora crew. Listening to their PDA, they attempted to use an amped up sea glide to get to safety, which exploded and brought them to their demise. But around the pod, we could get some sea glide fragments for our own, and got one immediately crafted up, as it greatly increases the little bit of speed we have. After that, we got another pod distress call, but it wasn't something I felt like doing, as they sounded really far away. So instead I made a habitat builder, and after finding a nice area, I got our first compartment down for the future base. And throwing a hatch on top so that we could get in and out was all we needed for it to be classified as a home and get our next achievement. We then put a solar panel on top, giving our little tube power to produce oxygen and energy. And on the inside, we added lockers for some more inventory space, the fabricator, and a radio. And now I could take all of our items out of life pod and completely replace it with our new home. With that, I went back to explore some more of the surrounding shipwrecks and got some pretty good blueprints like the battery charger, propulsion cannon, which will be useful later, and the bioreactor, which is a way stronger energy producer compared to the solar panels. Then two big things happened. First up, we crafted the rebreather, as normally when you pass a depth of 100 meters, your oxygen is consumed much faster, but the rebreather will now prevent that from happening, allowing us to explore way more. And the second one is we got our first message from the Sunbeam, another ship just like the Aurora, which received our initial SOS message, but for now nothing really happened with it. But we did find by far our biggest shipwreck yet, although this place is super disorientating. Very quickly the floor is above your head and you're walking along the roof and the walls. On top of that, you got these pretty tricky vents that are hard to see in and navigate. But on the inside, we found some pretty scrambled code and also discovered the first part of the modification station blueprint, which is a really important crafting station for later on. But now we have the hard part of finding our way out of here. But this place turns you around so hard, and as soon as your oxygen gets low, it gets super easy to begin to panic. And once I finally found where the exit was, it was too late, as we were way too deep to get to the surface in time, as we took our first death to drowning. But something nice about dying in this game is you don't actually drop everything. Instead, your base kind of works as a save point every time you enter it. So the only items you lose are the new ones you grabbed while out, and your items do drop so they can be collected again. But while trying to make my way back, I actually ran into the remains of LifePod 17. And by checking their PDA, they just kinda died? To be honest, LifePod landed in a very safe area, but it sounds like fear got the better of him if anything. We did get another message from the Sunbeam though, and they picked up the scans of what happened to the Aurora, so they're now officially making their way over to save us. But while we have to wait for that, we got a whole lot of batteries crafted up for our Sea Glide because we're going on a journey. I actually lied about this being a world only filled with water. There are actually 2 bits of land we can travel on in the far distance. But making our way there with just a Sea Glide is absolutely terrifying. Oh, I hate this. But even as the ocean floor beneath us got farther away, we made it to the first floating island. It's a very tropical and honestly very beautiful island, but the important part here is the fact that there are other structures here indicating someone's survival. We could grab some other useful things here, like the Chinese potato plant, which is such a good food and water source. We also had our first purple tablet and found an abandoned Degassi PDA. And by exploring more of the structures, we got our next achievement for discovering the Degassi base on the floating island. And the last nice thing we got was the indoor grow bed for our potatoes and the multi-purpose room, which is a much larger component for our base. On the way back home, we listened to the PDAs we collected. There were 3 people on this island together. There was Bart, who seemed to be a biologist, Paul, who was Bart's father and the captain, and Marguerite, a mercenary. Years and years before we crashed down here, they were a part of the Degassi ship, and just like us, their ship crash landed here and they were the last survivors of their crew. Even though they had the island, they were still vulnerable to the elements as constant rain was destroying the few sources of food they had. They're also the ones who found the purple tablet, but even they didn't know what it actually did. And then there was one last note that took place way after the others. It only included Bart, as he talked about how they shouldn't have ever gone deeper and that Paul and Marguerite are now both part of the ecosystem. And with that, Paul spent the rest of his life sick and infected with something until he also eventually passed on the island as well. It's actually a pretty interesting story about the people who attempted to survive before us, and one we will learn more about as time goes on. But with that, the engine of the Aurora sustained severe damage after the crash, and with no engineers anymore, it eventually went critical and exploded, spreading massive amounts of radiation in the surrounding area. But there wasn't much we could do about that, so I instead moved on and got the multi-purpose room added onto the base. Inside, we had the space needed to be able to build a bioreactor and got a grow bed to produce food so that we can use it to power it. All the extra energy is pretty important because we also got the scanner room made, and this thing takes a lot of power. With it, we could bring these little drones around to random areas and could start scanning for specific things to find it easier. But trying to pinpoint where these items actually are on this little map is not easy. But if we could craft the HUD chip, it would allow us to see everything a lot easier. The only problem is it needs magnesium, and I can only think of one place that has any. The Jelly Shroom Caves is a pretty deep area that just goes straight down. So if we couldn't find any magnesium quickly, we weren't going to be able to reach the surface in time to not drown. But luckily, we found a few pieces instantly when we were able to make it down to the bottom. So we got it all crafted up and can now see where all of these items are. And scanning specifically for fragments helped us a lot in finding the mobile vehicle bay blueprints. And after ages, we could finally get it placed down and could build ourselves the Sea Moth, getting our achievement for that and also getting our first vehicle that makes transportation so much easier. With it, I used it to make our way to the second island, which even with the Sea Moth is still terrifying, especially because this island is surrounded by way worse creatures. But we were able to make it safely, and instead of another base, there was a massive alien structure that had some more tablets that we could use to gain access inside. The inside is pretty empty with no actual alien life anywhere. But while reading a PDA, we did get another achievement for finding the enforcement platform. We found another new resource with ion cubes, and while reading another PDA, we learned of 2 other facilities that are much deeper in the ocean, with one being a disease research facility that is attempting to make an antidote for the highly infectious coronavirus. And the last thing in here is a little button. After pressing it, our hand would be locked in place and stabbed with a needle. It tested our blood, it seems, and the machine responded by saying infected individuals cannot disable the weapon. And after getting back home, we could give ourselves a self-scan planet, and it was revealed that by swimming in the water and eating this world's food, we have been infected with the coronavirus. The same thing Bart was infected with, and the very reason the only thing on this planet is the animals. But being infected also grabbed the attention of another defense system.
9 new biological subjects designated. Mode. Hunting. Analyzing.
These guys are known as warpers, specifically built to kill anything that has been infected. So now we gotta survive a lot more than just the depths of the ocean. I collected a lot of the resources on the alien island and could craft the radiation suit for some protection. And with our sea moth, we were back in the jelly shroom caves, but we had to be careful as it only had a max depth of 200 meters. After a little bit of exploration, we came across our second Degassi base, and just like before, got to collecting. There were some good resources here like the water filtration blueprint, ultra high capacity oxygen tank, thermal plants for more energy, and the start of the moon pool, which is another really important thing we need. And by collecting all of the surrounding PDAs, we got our next achievement for discovering the base down here. These ones talked most about Bart learning more about the ecosystem he was stuck in. And they continued going even deeper as Marguerite wanted questions and assumed that if rescue did come for them, they would also just be shot down like they were unless it was turned off. But we had to go and help ourselves now, fully learning the modification station blueprint and the laser cutter. At base, we could craft up the ladder and also make the propulsion cannon alongside with many fire extinguishers as we were heading over to the Aurora. This journey is absolutely horrifying. The closer you get, the less you could see as the Aurora kicked up so much sand, and on top of that, it also attracted some of the worst creatures to it. And something about the ship just being 9,000 times bigger than me also put me very on edge. Meaning most of the trek there did kinda look like this. Oh god, I hate this so much. Oh my god. We made our way along the side of the Aurora until making it all the way to the front where the explosion opened up a huge opening for us. We used all of our fire extinguishers to clear out any of the fires, and the propulsion cannon could easily lift and remove any items and boxes that blocked our way, while the laser cutter opened any doors that were sealed shut for us. Inside had quite a lot of resources to help us survive, like food, water, and batteries, and also held the depth module upgrade for our sea moth, allowing it to now go to 300 meters. And even better, there were so many prawn suit fragments in here that we could scan to be able to learn the blueprint. We also got our first message from something else while in here.
What are you?
But the ultimate thing we needed to do while here was repair the engine and clear up all of the radiation. Yay! With that, we ran off of the Aurora and hurried away from the roars of the sea monsters and could get back home safely. And now that we could go 300 meters with the sea moth, I went to find another life pod. While looking, we found the vehicle upgrade console, which is a necessity for later, and also new resources with aerogel and ruby. We also found a time capsule, which is pretty cool as these things are actually sent from other players whenever they beat the game for themselves. And finally at life pod 19, these guys actually survived for quite a while and even made it to one of the islands for more safety. But from the island, they tried to make it to the Aurora and were eaten by the Reapers that surrounded it. But back at base, we got another message from the Sunbeam that they were actually almost here and are finding a place to land, giving us a 40-minute timer until they arrive. So I did what I could as I waited for the time to count down. Exploring more around Life Pod 19 brought us to the Blood Kelp Zone, which is absolutely terrifying like everything else, and almost brought us face to face with a warper, but we could at least collect some blood oil for later. I then added some more space for our base with the extra large room where I put the modification station down. This gave us access for a lot more crafting recipes like the ultra high capacity tank and even the other two depth module upgrades for the sea moth, which now allowed us to go all the way down to 900 meters. And just for fun, I also got the prawn suit made, but it's pretty useless right now. I've been just kind of sat for a minute for some reason, but while I'm sat here, let me answer two probable questions y'all might have. Will I be 100%ing Below Zero and Subnautica 2 in the future? The answer to both of these is no. Below Zero 0 is just because the game has always looked really boring to me, so I have no interest in playing it. But Subnautica 2 is because after the success of Subnautica, the studio Unknown Worlds Entertainment was bought out by Krafton, and Krafton is now moving to an AI first company, and to be honest, I have no interest in a company that lays off its employees to replace them with AI. Ultimately, it's really sad because I was super excited for Subnautica 2, but greedy companies just have to take the fun out of it all. But moving on from that, I got up an actual locker system so my inventory and storage could be a little cleaner. And that was about all the time we had as I made my way to the landing zone and awaited the sunbeam.
Positions, everyone. Touching down in 10, 9, 8. It's coming from the building? Change course. Set thrusters to full.
Well, so it seems Marguerite was right in that any attempts at rescue are pointless unless we can disable that weapon. And we would need to do that. As well in the Aurora, we found the blueprints for a safety rocket to escape. And if we didn't want this to happen to us, we need to find the antidote to the Kara. But this is where the prawn suit becomes important. For now, it can't do much as it can only just kind of hop around, which isn't good enough yet. But it did have these 2 arms that could be replaced once we find the blueprints, which are way better. So we took our upgraded sea moth and got to looking. That's when we found the bulb zone and the Degassi base inside of it. In here, we got a very close look at the craft squids, which are definitely one of my favorite creatures. We scanned the alien containment chamber for future uses and grabbed the other PDAs in here to get the achievement for discovering this place. So I made my way into my sea moth, which was just kind of being bullied by the surrounding creatures, and listened to the last messages of the Degassi crew. Bart was the first to discover that they had been infected, but didn't know by what, as it wasn't anything that was in their PDA systems. So to help Bart study the virus, Marguerite dragged over a Reaper Leviathan for him to study. And if y'all are wondering what that is, it's this dude in the thumbnail. They are by far the scariest thing in the game, and I go extremely out of my way to avoid them. They are also huge and have the ability to grab you if you're in a vehicle. But as more and more disagreements went on between Paul and Marguerite, Bart left the habitat to get some time to think away from them. Shortly after is when another Reaper found them and attacked the habitat, bringing us full circle to Bart being alone on the island and waiting for the Corral to kill him, and Paul and Marguerite being a part of the ecosystem. Their story is easily one of my favorite parts of this game, as their want to survive is the same as ours, as we watch them do what they can with no success. But with that, we were back on our search for upgrades where we came pretty close to a Ghost Leviathan. And it's no wonder why he's here guarding the best shipwreck yet. In here, we could find everything we needed for the moon pool, prawn suit drill arm upgrade, and the prawn suit grapple arm, which is what makes it an S tier vehicle. So we instantly made the moon pool back home. But it kind of caused some damages as our base was not strong enough to hold all the weight. So we threw up some reinforcement panels to make it stronger and repaired all the holes inside. In the moon pool, we could use the vehicle upgrade console, which is where we get to make a lot of the vehicle upgrades, of course. And by using the scanner room, we easily got everything we needed to craft both arms. These are what make the prawn suit so good and also puts us in a position where the rest of the game goes by really quickly, actually. The grapple arm lets us grab onto any surface and swing around kind of like Spider-Man, which is super fun and really useful when you get good at it. And the drill arm acts as a makeshift melee weapon while also being used to harvest these big ore deposits, which give a lot more materials than normal. The moon pool also has some extra uses, as we can change the colors of our prawn suit, and it'll also hold it to recharge its battery automatically without us needing to make a replacement one. So we brought the beast down to the ball zone and had a scary little run-in with the warper, but with some professional movement and a little bit of searching, we made it down to the next part in the Lost River. This place is super cool to navigate around as it has huge bones everywhere, remnants of the behemoths that used to inhabit this planet. There's also a ghost leviathan that chills around here, but with the prawn suit, it's so easy to just avoid it. Down towards the bottom, we could start collecting some nickel ore and also a handful of crystalline sulfur for more crafting resources. And when going back up, we got to really swing around with the grapple arm to find the exit. Back home, I made the depth module and jump jets booster upgrade to go even deeper and improve our mobility even further. With it, we were able to easily find our way to the next alien facility, and after touching down, we got the achievement for finding the disease research facility. We learned a little how they were experimenting on eggs, series, saw the process of how the warpers were created, and also got to read up on some more of the symptoms of the virus. And giving ourselves another scan, it became very evident that we were really running out of time. So we continued going even deeper until we were standing in the inactive lava zone. This place is so cool, but all we could do here is just harvest some kyanite. After that, we have to leave all the way back through the caverns, make our way back home so that we can craft the last depth module upgrade, which allows the prawn suit to go all the way to 1700 meters, and then head all the way back to the lava zone. Which does take some time, as well the grapple arm is really good, it's still a little slow when you're going straight up. There's a castle type of structure that we could make our way around, and what is a castle without a dragon? The sea dragon is easily my favorite creature in the game, and it is just so cool looking. But making our way inside of the castle revealed another alien structure, and making our way in gave us the achievement for reaching the thermal plant. Once inside, we could use a purple tablet to open up a door and receive the blue tablet. We also got another message from the creature before instead of the Aurora. There was also one more data log revealing another facility where our friend was actually waiting for us. So we ventured off from the castle and dropped down into the active lava zone.
I am what you seek. Want to help you.
Oh, you are so cool looking. Oh god. Wait. Oh my god. Swim? And after somehow almost being burnt alive while underwater, we made it to the front door and could use the blue tablet to open it up. And finally, we were just one more door away from curing ourselves. But to open it, we needed another blue tablet, and we only got the one from in the castle. So I explored around a little and found that the aliens who were once here were using Sea Emperor children as they produce an antidote we'd need, but they couldn't figure out how to hatch them without forcing them out of their eggs and killing them in the process. At least around the facility, we could use an ion cube to open up our first teleporter. So we took the one that got us the closest to home and thankfully had everything we needed to craft up another blue tablet. With that, we were heading back down once more, and with the tablet, we could get the door opened up and head down into the makeshift aquarium. Oh, yes!
Are you here to play? Others came here once. They built these walls. They played alone. They bored me. Now they're gone. And instead, we have you. We are curious whether you swim with the current or fight against it, as they did. My young need to hatch, to play outside this place. We have been here so long. The others built a passage to reach the world outside. I asked them for this freedom, but they could not hear me. If you help us, I will give you freely what the others tried in vain to take. With the passage you've opened, my young can leave this place. But first they must feel the time is right and break free of their shells. This is what the others could not force from me. To you, I give the secret willingly.
Oh yeah.
Print acquired.
Alright, I take it back. The Sea Emperors is easily my favorite creature in the game. And after we got out of the prawn suit, we got the achievement for reaching the primary containment facility. Now to make the hatching enzymes, we need to go all around the map to collect different plants. So it's a pretty good thing we're currently standing in a facility that's filled with teleporters to different areas. So starting with a pretty close run-in with the Ghost Leviathan, we collected Ghostweed, Sea Crown, Ice Stalk, which is terrifying because of how open and dark this area is, Tree Mushroom, and the last thing being the Bulb Bush. With all that, we made the enzyme, and now the little baby Sea Emperor and Empresses were hatching. And after roaming around for a little, they would start producing Enzyme 42, the cure-all to the Kurov virus. As our skin absorbs it, we got the achievement for curing ourselves, and with another self-scan, we were finally normal again.
My young are swimming for the shallows. I thank you. Their freedom is my end. What will it be like, I wonder, to go to sleep and never wake up? Perhaps next we meet, I will be an ocean current, carrying seas to a new land. Or a creature so small, it sees the gaps between the grains of sand. Farewell, friend.
With that, the babies roamed the waters of planet 4546b and slowly began to clear the ocean of the Kara. And back at the gun island, we could get stabbed once more, and now that we were cured, we could completely shut down all of the containment protocols and actually leave this planet. But there were a few things we needed to do first. By making the alien containment unit, we could put a cuttlefish egg inside of it. After waiting a little while for him to hatch, we could pick him up and get the achievement for releasing him into the wild. And you can even play with them, and they are so cute. And now all we needed to do was create our rocket. Everything from the platform to the elevator, thrusters, and fuel reserves were actually pretty simple with everything we've been collecting so far. And silicon. Oh my god, what the fuck? That scared me so badly. But to finish with the cockpit, we needed a Cyclops shield generator. So we went around the map and scanned all the 9 different Cyclops fragments for the hull, bridge, and engine, as we got the achievement for making the huge submarine. I never bothered making this until now because it's so big and really slow, and it's pretty annoying to get into the small turns and caves. But on it, we could craft the shield generator and now had everything we needed to craft the cockpit.
Neptune 1 rocket online. Pressurizing hydraulics. Communications systems array active. Auxiliary power unit online. Primary computer systems active. Life support systems online. Time capsule ready.
We did it! Oh my god.
Ready to launch on your command, Captain. Launch in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And with our fastest completion yet, with just over 8 hours, that, my friends, is how I 100%ed Subnautica. Thank you for watching.